We drink some water.
Christopher Nolan.
Christopher. That's the new like tongue twister warm up of the day.
Christopher Nolan. Jared Leto. Oh, dude, it gets the whole thing if you say Jared Leto. It actually gets your whole lip.
So we're starting this, boys. We're keeping this real casual.
Please stop
Hey, we're
doing
keeping
that.
this real
No,
You guys make me sick.
You're making me not want to do this.
Who else saw Promising Young Women? I will say I had no idea what I was signing up for. I pegged it, and I was like, oh, that's a guaranteed peg. And I was like, guaranteed peg. I knew exactly what I was getting into. I didn't know what I was getting into. I didn't know what it was about. I was actually surprised. I was like, wow. I actually thought this was something else, and now I feel that.
What did you think it was?
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, I don't want to ruin it. So that's the thing. Like,
I mean, I seen it, dude. It's fine.
Well, and have you two seen it?
Give us a vibe.
So, like, the way that the trailer works out is it's all about like this girl. She goes out and picks up like sexist assholes that are like pick up on drunk chicks, and she goes home with them. And the trailer cuts away as like, hey, she fucking kills them. But it unravels and it's like this big, like actual good story. And I'm like, holy shit. Like I was expecting revenge, but it wasn't like full blown revenge. It was more so like as good as it gets kind of movie. Like it was actually well done. So I don't know if that's like a good tie-in, As Good as It Gets. That's just the first name that came to mind. I mean, Jack Nicholson had it coming. I don't even know if that's the same movie, but anyway, but it was a good movie.
I've been watching Squid Game. And that's just hardcore as fuck. It's quite good. Definitely more to it than what people are describing it as. Like it's just Hunger Games.
I pictured Battle Royale, but I could have been wrong.
I've not seen I've not seen Battle Royale. But Hunger Games does not have really any of like the emotional depth or like if you're gonna do a like dystopia, which isn't a dystopia, it's like an underground society. Like, something to that effect rather than a dystopia, but I mean it is a dystopia. It's 2021 capitalist society, boys.
Right, bro, it got to do with that social commentary.
It's a lot of the like symbolism can be a little bit blatant, but it's really never addressed. Like it's just kind of things that are happening, and you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Fuck. Like yeah, that hits home, and then. Just the brutality of it, it almost feels like snuff film, like at times, just watching.
Nothing wrong with that.
Close up of someone's face, and then they just get shot in the back of the head, and their eyeball pops out. Like it's fucking gnarly. It's super violent. Good cast of characters. Yeah, definitely recommend the show.
I finally got to watch Kajillionaire, and that was pretty damn amazing. What a odd premise for a movie. You got a 26-year-old girl named Old Dolio that was been raised her whole life by swindling parents who are just like these fucking shitty con artists, and she has never felt affection or warmth from them, and she's a very odd, peculiar person. It's good. I rewatched Hausu, which is a fucking classic, you know, like collage, like scenes that are just collages of things like cut up, like the weirdest transitions and like fade-ins, like music just clashing everywhere. It's like a haunted house.
It's like Scooby-Doo if you take away plot.
It's like a Scooby-Doo episode, but like on acid, you know, in Japanese.
Yeah.
I checked out what's it called? Ryan Gosling's film he directed a while back called Lost River, which very much felt like a fusion of David Lynch and Nicholas Winding Refn. Every time I see something that's kind of like surreal like that, I mean, that's why I like The Neon Demon, which was a Nicholas Winding Refn film. It's one of those, like, you could watch it and you could argue, like, people always have the argument, like, oh, is the style over substance and stuff, and sometimes style is substance, you know? I liked it. I still thought it was like, okay, this is definitely like early work, and you could tell, but it was really cool, and it was very surprising to see that come out of Gosling. I think he also wrote it, and the music in it was really cool. I mean, you have like a lot of this like synth music playing. Yeah, the last one I watched before we watched the Last Mandate was a Funeral Parade of Roses, which I didn't know what it was about going in, but damn, was it wild. It's kind of like a retelling of Oedipus Rex, but with like queer culture in like the underground of Japan back in like the old days. And the movie's very experimental in the sense that like it'll just cut out like during some scenes, and it'll be the actors, like the actual actors playing the characters, talking about the scene they just played or being interviewed about how they felt about the scene.
Speaking of cooking, casual transition. I don't know if you guys detected that, felt very casual. I've been watching some old episodes of Anthony Bourdain's, but yeah, it's just been really fun going through and watching the episodes, specifically, you know, kind of like time and place. Because even for, you know, it being a travel show, you already have that, but just how old the series is now, it's like, wow, it's just the double sides of it, from like, you know, the food culture, but also just like food culture from that time period. The other thing, I kind of talked about it earlier, I don't think I was recording then, but this is kind of like my vacation week, so I've been building this X-Wing thing. You can't really see it, so I cut it all in pieces, but that's been pretty fun. Cutting pieces out of all the instruction booklets. Maybe it's the fumes from the paint, but yeah, man, I've been really enjoying myself, you know, and classic line.
Cut. Gerardo, I had you go last so you could like segue us into the actual intro of the show.
And speaking of casual, welcome to the Real Stupid Review Show. I am here with, hold up, CODEY, Nick, oh no, IZZY, fuck switcher. Nick, myself.
It's not exactly working.
I can't, I'm doing the switcher, and this is so surprisingly very hard to do both things. We're here to talk about a movie of my choosing / television show that I changed last second, but it was worth it because it's great. It's Over the Garden Wall, which I believe all three of us have seen, besides Nick. This is his first venture into it, which, you know, I'm very curious to hear his opinion on it, but realistically, this was this is going to be a mandate that it's going to be very casual.
We got two brothers
In a van.
traveling through the woods. You can see right behind IZZY, one of them wears a little
Dunce hat.
little pot on his head.
That's a teacup.
The teapot. Oh my god.
It's a type of pot. I don't have a teapot. What the fuck? You know, the other one wears a little dunce cap. They got a bird friend and a frog. They meet the woodsman.
Played by Christopher Lloyd, the GOAT, my guy.
I guess we'll start it off with something's been hinted so far. Nick, what's your rating for this?
I'll dive into it, but I'm gonna give it a 3.
Fucking.
I'll dive into it.
I honestly was worried you were gonna give it a fucking 2. For me, I'm wavering on that 4.5 ish. I think I'm at 4.5. Izzy?
Oh, this is a 5 for me. That's a rock fact.
Listen, this was my suggestion, but I'm gonna hit you guys with a whammy. This is a 1 out of 1, motherfucker, because it's 100, bitch. This is how could I not give it anything other than that? This is perfect. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, it's really fucking good. Nick, before we assail you, fucking defend yourself, you animal.
So let's start with the basics, okay? My Cartoon Network days had a cow and a chicken, all right, and the parents were normal, and that was acceptable. We had Dexter's Laboratory, where he had this obnoxious laboratory underneath the house. Like, there were like abstract ideas. This is a brother and another brother randomly walking through, and it's got that Deadeye cartoon style. Like, everybody knows the Deadeye cartoon style. Like, Chowder has it.
No, they go from this. They do this, and they do this. They got 2.
Yeah, and that's like a SpongeBob SquarePants thing, where we just have this random quirkiness, and then it goes into like serious context. And it just like, it was so hard. Like, it's bad when my kids, I'm sitting down, I'm like, yeah, let's review a kid's show. And the kids are like, we don't want to watch this anymore. So, you know, it's like, let me put it this way.
Man, I'm sorry.
That's what it is. That's what it is. So we get through it. So the reason I didn't absolutely hate it is the great voice actors. You know, I love the voice actors. Lloyd the Goat, Christopher Lloyd, Elijah Wood, James Earl Jones. I mean, Tim Curry. Holy shit! Like, Tim Curry is fucking one of my favorites, and
Master, yeah.
you know, Tim Curry's such an awesome actor, and for him to be able to do this voice acting after the stroke, like I was actually super impressed. Like I was like, holy shit, I didn't realize he was still doing voice actors. 2012 was his stroke. Thank God he survived. And after the stroke, you know, he started doing voice acting, and he still did Comic-Cons and stuff like that. I think he still does autographs and stuff, but he's not able to really speak anymore, which is unfortunate. And that's what was kind of surprising. And his character really matched the voice and really matched his persona. And I had to listen for it. And you always hear that voice. He's always got that, like, the Thornberrys, like, smashing, like, you know, it's like, he's got that voice, like, oh, Rocky! I always got that voice in there. Like, I always hear it. Get you. I always hear that voice. I always hear that snicker. And it's just so cool that he was able to do that. And I will say, towards the end of the show, I did feel better about it. So
my argument for recommending this was that they're 11-minute episodes, but if you put them together, it makes the runtime of a movie. Did that interruption bug you at all? Was it just the overall themes?
You know, honestly, that made it easy. That made it easier for me to enjoy. I think I enjoyed it more that there were shorter episodes. I just think it was almost like gimmicky, but it's like this kind of went in its own genre of like the dead-eyed, cool, like modern cartoons that just have like that flow, and it just has got to be morally sound. Like it's just I don't know. Maybe it's just because I grew up and I don't want to let go of the Beavis and Butthead stupid humor.
All right, so Nick is mad that there's no fart jokes. Izzy, what do you think?
There was fart jokes. I think there was like 2 or 3 of them. I'd have to rewatch it, but sorry, I can't.
More. There were 3 fart jokes. Therefore, 3 stars out of 5 from Nick. Anyway, Mr. Izzy.
It has like this old Americana vibe, this old folk like aesthetic that you really don't get to see much of. Like, you know, I love folk tales. I love fairy tales. I like more intricate like messages inside of like my cartoons in general. Like I like SpongeBob and all that stuff. I grew up with Cow and Chicken too, but I don't like them that much anymore. Like I don't have a good relationship with nostalgia. A lot of my friends will say like, oh yeah, I love that movie, and I was like, when's the last time you watched it? And they're all, oh, it's been like 10 years. I was like, you love that movie? Like, or did you just grow up with it? Like, I can abandon whatever I grew up with if I think it's bad. Like, my favorite books, like when I was a kid, were like things like Shel Silverstein's The Giving Tree, or like his collection of poems, like Where the Sidewalk Ends. All of those kind of had like a wacky like world to them, and there were always these like small morals that, surprisingly, some dealt with things like dying and like growing up and stuff. I mean, if everyone, I don't know if everyone's here read The Giving Tree, but that one's kind of, it's like heavy and it's beautiful. And I read that to my niece and nephew, you know, and we were like talking and breaking down like, oh, well, what does it mean? You know, what did you learn? What did you think the people like felt? You know, and you get stuff like that in this, you know, it's very much a purgatory like thing. If we're gonna really like get into it, and it's
literally an epic. Trippy challenges coming up, always challenging someone's morals. The character's constantly failing. It's coated in this like cute coat of paint, and I love you talking about like the Americana of it, because it really is. It's like, it's very like middle America in a lot of ways. It's really like very cool.
I really enjoyed the fact that it never felt like it was talking down to anyone. So it felt very easy to enjoy, maybe not as cryptic as something like a Green Knight would be. There's no way you could show the Green Knight to an 11-year-old or, you know, fucking 7-year-old and be like, oh, this is fun, isn't it? Like, it has these things where...
Grow up, kids.
Like, yeah. No, it's not. Just growing up and facing the world and facing these challenges and having to, like, look inward and eventually kind of accept yourself and figure out who you are and your flaws. But one thing that was really sweet about the ending is that it's not just about facing your flaws, because that is important and that's something that Wirt has to do, but it's also about facing your successes and facing your boons and the things that you're good at and accepting yourself for those as well. And, you know, trying to accept and grow in both. So like that's kind of the core of the series to me. Aside from the obvious Wendigo imagery, what did you guys see in the beat?
You know, I'll say that it tried to pull a lot of nostalgia. Like, so the first animal being like a callback, in my opinion, to like American Werewolf in London, and then you got the callback to Spirited Away with like the little turtle in his mouth, which they never did call back to when they're actually in the Whispering Mother's house. The next episode, like number 2, you said was really good. I feel like everything's like an entity around the devil, so it's like maybe it's like you have Face Your Fears, we make it what it is. Like the second episode is kind of like Wicker Man, where it's like everybody's dancing and it's like this like almost like surreal experience, and you're just trying to rationalize it, like why are these people dancing, why are they acting this way, and then then you get put inside of a thing and burned alive, and then Nicolas Cage screams about bees.
I don't understand how any of those 3 are nostalgia. I don't understand how the first is a callback to an American Werewolf in London. If you really want to say that, I mean, like, isn't like any horror movie with a monster is nostalgia for a classic tale that's just been. See, that's why I call BS on that. Also, it's a wolf in a fairy tale world. Like wolves and fairy tales, that's just a thing, bro.
Yeah,
you know, the Wicker Man also, that's like cults, small villages, festivals, pilgrims. It's kind of weird to call things like a callback. I know it's easy. Like I know we as people just kind of like associate things and compare things to other things, but it's weird to call that a direct reference.
So it's about a magical quest, and then they have Elijah Wood, obviously, you know, Lord of the Rings reference. They have
wait. Movie. That's a big stretch. That's like
Bill and Ted's not a John Wick reference.
So it's kind of like a callback, though. Like it makes no.
A callback is someone intentionally making a decision to reference something. Like that's not a callback. I would call that maybe a happenstance or something, but it's not like, oh, we picked Elijah Wood because he was in Lord of the Rings. I think they just picked Elijah Wood. I think that you're looking really deep into things, like to connect.
I'm not even looking deep. Like that's surface. Like that's what we know him for. That's what we know him for, and it's a magical quest with him and his companions. How hard a stretch is that?
I know him from Come to Daddy. All right, that's
that's
his real pinnacle. God, fuck this. Can we talk about the music?
My friend has like the vinyl. Like I went over to her house.
I got it too, bro. I'm gonna grab it right now. How dare you?
Go grab it.
I think a couple favorite scenes. My favorite music scene is when Kitty /Wirt Jr. / George Washington / Mr. President / Benjamin Franklin / Dr. Cucumber / Greg Jr. / Skipper / Ronald / Jason Funderburker sings his song on the boat. Fucking loved it. Oh my god,
there.
is that still available? I need to see if that's.
It's on Mondo. If you actually want to listen to it, though, Mondo has a problem with the pressings that they're very like full of pops and not like in the fun way. It's like Mondo has like garbage, kind of trash pressings. But it's pretty vinyl. It's a really pretty vinyl, though. Let me show you the actual record. But let's actually have constructive movie conversations while I struggle to take this out of the fucking thing. Look how pretty it is. Look at that. That's just my shirt.
Hard to tell with your background. I can just see my reflection mostly.
It's like yellow translucent with like these like orange specks, you know?
Literally everything Mondo has for Over the Garden Wall is sold out. Literally every ad. It makes sense. This came out 7 years ago.
I never play this because it has like a lot of pops. It's just a known issue with Mondo.
They must have fixed it eventually.
It happens with all the releases. I buy records from Waxwork Records.
$250.
Yeah, Waxwork is legendary. Who else do I buy records from? It doesn't matter. It's not a record conversation. This is about music, yo.
My 2 favorites are easily the first song you ever hear, either Into the Unknown or Patient is the Night. They are so damn pretty. I grew up with a lot of like old American like folk music because of my mom. You know, we had like mariachi music in Spanish, like boleros and like what the hell is ballads and stuff, and then hip hop from like my brothers. But like folk music has always been at my core. You know, I always say like I'm cottagecore as fuck. I have friends that call me grandma. I have a fucking crochet.
He's genuinely known for having vaguely lesbian vibes.
I've been told actually.
He's the Ellen of our
lesbians. Show. I don't. You know, we don't have to say that, but you know, like it's just pretty cool lesbians.
Write down that time. We're gonna edit.
Like the music has all of that, and it's not just like folk music, like 70s folk music, like that old, like really old, like 20s like style, and even maybe older than that, you know, like real American folk music from like back then. The type of like vocals that you'll get from it too. Like it's a silly song, but there's a moment, I think it's after they sing the Highwayman song, which is also glorious. I love that. The animation for that segment also it's crazy. I think they have a whole little thing breaking down the movements, which is actually wild.
So short, and it just hits so goddamn hard.
It just comes out of nowhere, and you're whoa. But like, yeah, the song that like the old, it wasn't the Taylor, but it's a dude that's calling Wirt like a lover boy or something, like the romantic, and like he kind of has like a wavering like.
When he's like who are you? It's like, what's your role in this? You're the pilgrim.
Yep. Yeah. You're the pilgrim. When he sings, he has that like high falsetto, and it really reminds me of listening to old like love songs back from like the 20s or 30s. That's the kind of stuff my dad would listen to, like when we weren't listening to like Spanish music. Plus, when we don't have music that's like being sung, a lot of the songs in the background are different variations of familiar songs we heard in the show, and that just it builds and builds, and that atmosphere gets stronger because it's something you've heard. It's something you've heard, and you may not notice it at first, but you do subconsciously. That's, you know, it's.
Has there ever? Do people eat potatoes and molasses though? I mean, that song is an uncontested fucking banger.
I don't think anybody's ever presented those two things at the same time.
I'm sure some say in the South is the thing. They deep fry everything. So if there's not potatoes and molasses somewhere in America, I'm disappointed. I mean, besides the music, I mean, was there any one episode that like was a favorite of yours? Again, I think I'm just pretty hard stuck on episode number 2.
The last 2 hit it pretty goddamn hard for me. I mean, there's a lot where I really like the vibe. Song in the Dark Lantern, I just fucking love the Woodsman. I love how creepy that is. Little White Frogland, Ring the Bells, like episode 8, my favorite scene in the entire show. I can't remember exactly what he says, but it's after Wirt tells Greg, like, you're in charge now. This is all your fault. You suck. Yada yada. And Greg's like, okay, I guess I'm gonna have to
super upbeat.
Like, super upbeat, and he's just scooping leaves off the ground and just covers Wirt in leaves, and then lays back and throws leaves on himself, and then the frog lays back next to him with one leaf on his belly. And he's just like talking about how he doesn't have a plan, but he needs to figure out a plan. And I'm just like crying, laughing. I fucking love Greg. That's my favorite scene in the entire show.
I mean, we're talking about like a cast that's like, I mean, obviously still a surprise to see their performances on this, but they're renowned actors. But Greg is just like a kid, you know? Mm-hmm. He's just like a kid, like going toe to toe with other actors. Like, he honestly did fantastic considering how much, like, I don't know if the right word, screen time or vocal time he has on the show. Like, it's just as memorable. His bits are just as good as Christopher Lloyd. Like, it's great on him.
Greg is the best character in this show. I fucking love him. He's just a ray of wholesomeness. He's so funny. Even things that aren't, like, funny are funny. My favorite line, and I remember, like, after I first watched this show, I would say it all the damn time, is just, well, ain't that just the way? I would say that all the time after I heard it in the first episode, when, like, you know, stops away. Ain't that just the way, you know? And it's, you know, it's kind of funny. I didn't know it was like a kid playing him, but I feel maybe only a kid could get that optimism, that like bright optimism that like Greg shows in these scenarios, you know? Like, and of course Elijah Wood be playing the worrywart character, you know, that's always just like worrywart, anxiety like driven and stuff. You know, I know it's like way back to when you were mentioning like themes and stuff. Another one I liked is just taking accountability, you know, for everything instead of like pinning it on like everyone else. That was definitely one of my like favorite moments. I think at the final episode, I probably love the last 2 episodes the most because of like I love conclusions, just like, oh, you're gonna have to wander the woods. He's like, no, that's stupid. I was like, what? It's so funny.
Yeah, they shut that down so quickly. Like, the beast was just like, oh, you're not gonna do what okay.
Shit.
The bluff failed on that, but I mean,
like
go ahead.
I agree. I love conclusions. But, like, when do you get one that sticks the goddamn landing this well? Like, ties it all up in a bow and just fucking nails it right, like right.
Freddy
in the
versus Jason.
Another good one.
Sorry, I just thought of another line I love that like stuck with me. You have beautiful eyes.
Oh, dude.
Wolf ear get a thing.
I mean, undercut's not the word for it, but like there are, outside of like, ooh, scary for a kid's show or a kid's movie, like there were parts where it was genuinely like, oh, this is scary shit. The allure of the mysterious setting, like me wanting to be in on this adventure, like, being in this space, but also I'm like, I don't know if I would, like, if I had the option to jump into a fictional world, I don't know if I want to be in this world, because there's a lot of threats, there's a lot of dangers, and a lot of them were genuine ones that scare me as an adult. That one in particular.
They control it. That really gets controlled really well with Greg. Like the kid is always a kid. Like they don't let that get lost, because at the end of the day, it is a kid show. So like, Greg is constantly undermining like how scary it is. He's like, is it my turn to do something yet? Is it my turn to do something yet? Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. And it's like, it's like, oh, he ate this, and I think that's gonna fix the whole thing. So it's like, as scary as it gets, like they don't let it get to scary. Like they hold it back and they reel it in, and they keep it. Like they do that.
They drop a little punchline in there, like the leaves are growing inside of him. Oh, I was eating leaves.
Yeah.
There's never a moment like we know the depth of that, but like the kid always reels us back into, oh yeah, it's it's like, oh yeah, you know what I mean, like every single time. So I think that's cute. That is actually pretty damn cute.
Yeah, like reeling in is the perfect term, Nick. Perfect. Like every time we get this horror, Greg always just
reel
it. And this real saying, hey, there you go. Segment of the show, we get the final consensus on the movie. I believe it might be changing. I'm gonna put this vinyl on my head because I don't know what my hat is. But all right.
Well, you obviously didn't have the hat on you. So how prioritized was it?
This is a shitty hat from like Tahoe that a guy never opened. Here you go. There's a hat. Oh,
you never opened it. It's a fucking hat. How do you open it?
There's a label on it.
Got a tag on it.
Tag on it.
That's not opening. That's just taking the tag off.
God.
Yeah, you need to circumcise that.
I feel insulted.
I will never circumcise anything, including my review. Really cool visuals. I love it. I feel it made me feel, very pretty, very, very much in an autumn mentality. I was telling Izzy earlier that unfortunately the weather here does not allot me the ability to wear a sweater because I would die from a heat stroke. But watching this, it made me want to make some hot cocoa, put on some slippers, light some pumpkin scented candles, just really get into that mind state. And any that can
it didn't make me want to wear a sweater, but it made me want to wear something.
That canister on your head, that's the giant thimble. But it's great. I loved it. I love everything about it. And I would die for the show.
The show rules. I do have a major complaint with it, and it's really hard to get past. It was a cemetery wall, not a garden wall. Despite what my background may show you, this is a garden wall. They were at a graveyard. Which is kind of like a garden for dead people, but it wasn't a garden wall.
They do plant things. They plant bones.
I'll be able to say, I was going to say, like, I think it's unfair to say that cemeteries don't have some form of foliage growing at some point.
Actually, they're usually really well gardened. They're usually like as well gardened as like.
Thank you.
Like
we fixed that. Like
state
plot
capitals and stuff. Yeah. All right. I'll give you that one. Well, that alone, I think it'll bump me up. I've been convinced. I'm moving up to a 5 out of 5, fellas. The show fucking rules. I love it. I was honestly, my only reservation was that I felt like some of the pacing early was a little bit slow. I'm not sure why I felt that way, because as we're talking back through it, everyone's like, oh yeah, the third episode when they went there, they did that episode was fucking great. Oh, the fourth episode, that one was awesome. Oh, 5, 6, fucking love those. And we're like, oh, every episode is an absolute banger. 5 out of 5. Watch this shit. It's great. I'll get back to you guys on potatoes and molasses.
What's it called? I feel really bad because I have a frog hat, which would have been perfect for this segment, but I can't find it. I can't find it.
The one time we actually have a frog in the show.
It's always right here next to me, and it's not there. And I just tore my room up trying to find it.
Mr. President has done his job.
Yeah, dude, he disappeared. He came to life and he went into the unknown. Like that's what the frog hat is. Oh my god, I'm gonna give my frog hat a name once I find it. I guess to sum it up, I love this show. I watch it every October. You know, it has a perfect blend of everything. It has this very beautiful like visual aesthetic. It has this like amazing like old folk Americana style setting with not just like music from this kind of era, but even like words that are being utilized by the characters, you know, and like phrases, like that's all great. Amazing atmosphere, you know, like you get moments of tenseness and you get beautiful moments of humor. There really isn't a bad episode, and I'm pretty sure we could like order them like, oh, the first one this happens, the next one that happens, you know, and there's always moments from each episode that are like, they're like great. It's really the perfect introduction to like autumn or October. I think I was like, okay, October hasn't officially begun until like I watched this show.
I disagree. It's a good show. I'm not gonna say it's like trash or anything like that. I think it's a good show. You can still get stupid shows with cartoons and pork butts and taters, which I'm assuming is where they got the potatoes and molasses from. Is pork butts and taters from Cow and Chicken. That's what I'm assuming. For those that want a moral and want to have those smart stories, we have Toy Story. Will I rewatch this? No. I will rewatch Toy Story. Still a good show, though. It's good. Check it out. It's definitely worth watching. I don't regret watching it, so I think it is good. Yeah, just pick your audience and play an episode. If your kids like it, cool, play it. They'll love it. If they don't like it, then you got a friend in me.
I think I'm gonna offer my niece like $20 if she's willing to watch this whole show with me. Like, in like one sitting, I'll give her 20.
I have to do the call to action apparently. So thank you for watching this. Like and subscribe. Keep it casual, like we keep it casual. You know, it's more casual than doing those things. Am I right? You know, this is
Real
casual.
Show on YouTube,
leaving the show,
etc.
Thank you, Cody.
Comment movies that you think we should watch. We will.
Yeah,
let's get around to it eventually.
And we'll see you guys
Do it.
real soon.
Nice.
Super casual.
As tradition requires, I don't actually read any of the chat, and I watched the wrong Candyman movie. So I'm going to talk about the newest Candyman movie because holy shit!
You can't. You're spoiling just by saying it.
No, you can't.